Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and good evening. Welcome to the Upfront with Waheed Hussain. Today we are going to discuss the Middle East. In fact, in the last few days, we have seen a lot of developments in Yemen, where initially the Saudi Air Force conducted airstrikes, port city of Moqala, and they were saying that the UAE ship, they were transporting a lot of weapons into the country, which later the UAE leadership and their foreign ministry has denied. But anyhow, the fresh developments are that yesterday we have seen that Saudi-backed forces have conducted an operation against the STC. STC is, in fact, Southern Transition Council, which is controlling the two provinces. One is Hadramaut, and there is another province. But these provinces are very close, physically close. They have a border, contacts with Saudi Arabia, due to which Saudis are really, concerned about all the developments which are taking place. In fact, there are news in the international media that the STC is going to declare these areas an independent country, which was united in 1990, a unification of the Yemen. So Saudi Arabia, as I was saying earlier as well, that Saudi Arabia is interested that the Yemen should remain a one country. It should not be divided into different factions, which can create security issues for the Saudi Arabia, and of course the independence of the Yemeni people and Yemen as well. The foreign ministry of Saudi Arabia issued today a statement saying that we have invited the southern factions to Riyadh. They should come here and start negotiations and find out a negotiated settlement of the dispute which is going on. So we are going to discuss about it. And Pakistan Air Force has test-fired Taimoor cruise missile today. Successful, that test fire was conducted, and the range is around 600 kilometers. We are going to also discuss this as well. I have a very prominent analyst, defense analyst with me, Air Commodore, Mr. Khalid Chishti. Thank you very much, sir, for joining me again. We will start with the Air Force missile test. Kindly, if you can technically explain that, what is the significance for Pakistan Air Force, for Pakistani security?
Many thanks, Waheed sir, for inviting. Let's start with the Taimoor. What you're saying is this is a missile which is air launched by obviously a fighter aircraft, and this can have a range of what you already said, about 600 kilometers. The significance in this is that this can be used against the naval installations, the naval ships, the land-based installations, and obviously the air bases, which are obviously on the ground. The differentiation is this is a cruise missile which flies at a very low altitude, which means it is very difficult to pick up by a normal radar signatures. That's number one. Number two, it is very difficult to deceive or even intercept. Number three, the most important thing is that it has a warhead which is highly accurate. That means the target that you choose, obviously, there is a very high kill probability that it will go on and take it. Obviously, it has to be very precise, because at the land you can have somewhat different targets, even if it is little bit within error. But when you want to attack some ship in the sea, obviously, you have to have it very, very precise weapon warhead, which should go and hit obviously precisely in the middle of it, so that you obviously destroy that naval vessel or whatever that target that you're targeting. That's number one. The best part in this is that, Alhamdulillah, this is all made in Pakistan. Goes back to almost 80 years of our history, when on 13th April 1948, the founder of Pakistan, Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, visited PF Academy Risalpur. It used to be a school then. He was very kind to upgrade it to a college level, where he gave a historical speech. It is into our brains and minds, and this is the role model, this is the beacon for us, the personality and what he said for the Air Force. Let me repeat what he said, and then you can relate what has happened today. Qaid Azam, in those days, just about 80 years back, when he had seen the role of the air power in the World War II, so he could appreciate in the coming days what will be the air power like. At the Rasal Academy, he said, a country without a strong air force is at the mercy of any aggressor. Pakistan must build up an air force as quickly as possible. It must be an efficient air force, second to none. Imagine every line seems to be highly relevant, probably more relevant than it was in 1948. A country at the mercy of any aggressor. Pakistan must build up an air force as quickly as possible. It should be a second to none. And since then, last about 80 years, this is the tagline of Pakistan Air Force. We write with our name that Pakistan Air Force, second to none. It is the inspiration from the Qaid Azam's verdict about the PF. And the second part was even more interesting. He said, Pakistan Air Force, by relying on indigenization and self reliance, can only be worthy of Pakistan. Just imagine our founding father 80 years said that we can only be worthy of Pakistan if we do indigenization and self reliance. This is exactly what you see Taimoor is. This is exactly what you see. We are no more dependent on the foreign nationals, foreign countries, foreign vendors, because we have seen in the past, you will agree, you are a very senior journalist, you will agree that in past we have had threat of sanctions. We have had the compulsion to comply to the national interest of the other countries at the cost of our own national interest. Why? Because obviously they were pressurizing us if they want spare parts of that particular weapon system or equipment, or the maintenance or the upgradation or the supply chain was interrupted with the threat that obviously if Pakistan does not comply, we would stop getting spare parts and the maintenance of those aircraft or missiles or weapons. That's no more the case. That's a blessing. We all should be all thankful to Allah Almighty for obviously bestowing this kind of blessings upon us, and especially credit goes to the present leadership of Pakistan Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Zahir Ahmad Babur Sidhu. He has been a visionary on the technological induction. He has been pursuing the goals to indigenize all the weapons and least reliance, obviously, he wishes to have on the foreign aid. And this is the outcome of that, I believe.
Recently, we have seen that after May 2025, a conflict with India, throughout the world, Pakistan Air Force, Pakistani forces were being appreciated by the main capitals of the world. Do you think that we can also have a kind of a defense? I mean, the Air Force agreements with various countries, and we can also market all these equipment as well?
Bhai Sahab, the good news is that since May, we have, Alhamdulillah, not only become relevant politically, diplomatically at national level, but also from the military point of view. The world is watching us and has been watching us for the last about 6 months very closely. Why did we do it? How did we do it? And what is the secret, the training, the methodology, and the vision behind it? Many countries have engaged us. I can confirm it to you, especially with the Air Force. Many countries are already engaged. Obviously, the top leaderships are in contact with our PF leadership. They want to pursue the collaboration and jointness in many fields, starting with the training, the technology transfer, JF-17 Thunder, different other missiles. And what have we done in May in particular? Every country is concerned about it. And especially, obviously, many countries want it. Why did I use concern word was that listen to the speech of Mr. Piers Morgan, who is a British defense analyst. He has made a documentary on this, and its title is why the West is concerned and worried about Pakistan. And he is talking nothing about the PF. He says Pakistan Air Force has made the weapons of the West less relevant, if not obsolete, because the mechanism, the strategy, the war gaming, and everything what goes on has to be dependent on the relevance of those weapons which those aircraft carry. If your weapons go less relevant, if they have less range, if they're incapable, or obviously they are no more that much effective, your strategy goes out, your war games are out, your technology obviously overpowers the methodology that you use or the planning that you've already done. This is what Pakistan has done. And I'm pleased to report to you that numerous countries are very keenly following, especially the JF-17 Thunder Block 3, the tactics, and especially the training that the PF obviously standards have. The other countries also want to benefit out of that.
Mr. Khalid, if you kindly elaborate to my viewers that is this warhead could be carried by any aircraft?
Yes, for the time being, what we know is that it can carry conventional warhead because it doesn't need to carry the nuclear or any non-kinetic. It carries a conventional warhead because it is made for specifically to be launched from the air. This weapon can only be launched from the air. That means a fighter aircraft has to carry it. It cannot be at the moment not be carried by an unmanned aircraft or a drone. It has to be carried by a fighter aircraft. 600 is a huge range for targeting an enemy. And as I said in the first question, obviously the best part is that it is all made in Pakistan. And the next pleasing thing is that it is highly accurate because obviously it leaves no room for the target to obviously evade itself. And even the air defense sensors and other obviously air defense radars not be able to detect it in time because it flies and penetrates so low and it flies such a high speed that it will be almost virtually very, very difficult to intercept. And obviously, when you cannot intercept, obviously the missiles is obviously such missiles are very lethal, and obviously they reach the target to create the devastating effect. It can be carried from numerous aircraft, PF aircraft.
Well, moving to the Yemen, again, naturally you are um, um, an expert of air warfare, and recently we have seen that port of Mokala was being hit by the Saudi aircrafts, and because the reason that they gave was that all these ships were carrying weapons which could destabilize the Yemen further and further divide it into factions, and warlords will grow with the passage of time. So how you see the developments which are taking place in Yemen vis-a-vis the two most close friends and allies, UAE and Saudi Arabia?
Let me, on the onset of Vaid offer my concern on this that there are two Muslim, closely, very well respected countries involved in this, where we seem to read that there is an element of conflict of interest. I hope and pray that it does not materialize further or it does not aggravate into it. But as we all know, that it all started in 2014, obviously. Massive build-up went in 2015. Obviously, the Saudi Arab factor came in, and then there was a massive unrest or unrest in the country, which resulted into a loss of, according to United Nations, 377,000 lives, obviously lost during this conflict. That was very, very unfortunate because obviously in
And
the
they were on
neighborhood.
the same side against the Houthis.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. That is what I'm saying, that it turned the table. The Houthis came into power. Obviously, they became a significant player. And obviously, all the other neighboring countries have been obviously backing Saudi Arabia by and large, obviously. Because why this Houthis are more significant and why engaging them were very important was that they control almost major sea lines of the communication in that route, obviously, because they fall or they happen to be at such a strategic location where they can interfere the traffic, sea lines of traffic, obviously. The sea routes become obviously vulnerable in case they are not on board. And then we see that UAE, what I read through, obviously we do not have proof yet, that UAE focusing on the southern side of this Yemen, which actually controls the sea routes. Okay, the southern part, the southern faction that you were referring in the introduction, they actually control the southern routes basically. And anybody who is obviously connected with those forces which are deployed to the southern Yemen, obviously they will have much better influence and control over the sea route. Obviously, which obviously is not to the liking of Saudi Arab or any other country in the region, obviously, which can have the effect of these trades, obviously. But obviously, I hope and pray the good sense prevail, and obviously they should die down because obviously Pakistan has very close relationship with the both countries. Obviously, we would not like that the trade in this region is risk any spoiling the relationship with these friendly countries.
And I think that we are not mentioning the Iran because Houthis are being backed by the Iranians. So these are the three countries which are indirectly involved into Yemen.
I agree with you. Iran has been, because we initially were talking the local conflict, but traditionally what we know is that Iran has sympathetic view towards them, if not supporting. All the time, Houthis have been obviously backed by Iranian government, This has been a major factor, and this has been a major el- element of discomfort between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Also, you would recall in the history, because Saudi Arabia has been protesting to Iran, and they obviously has strained relations in the past because of this factor, no doubt about it. And now UAE jumping into it, which was not a factor earlier, can create even situation more worst. Because all three countries that we earlier were talking about, UAE and Saudi Arabia, I think we have good relations with Iran also, especially after the June Iran-Israel fight. That what they had, the Iranians have come to realize that here is a country which is going to back us. We did not take side with the Israelis or American during the attack; rather, we condemned it. We also were sympathetic towards the Iranian brothers because we've had traditional relationship with them. We were also concerned about the presence of the Mossad agents backed by the raw agents inside Iran, when obviously they helped to launch the surface to surface weapons and drones against Tehran. So we were all concerned. And now I can confirm it to you that Tehran government, the people do appreciate the role Pakistan played, which was hugely positive in support of Iranian brothers. And I think we will be at loss in case there is an escalation between UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Iran.
So naturally, Pakistan remained neutral during all these years and events that were taking place among the Muslim states in the Middle East. And obviously, when it comes to the Saudi Arabia and UAE, Pakistan must have, in recent days, Pakistan must have played a very important role because the UAE president was in Pakistan at the time when this airstrike was taking place.
Mr. Veed, we must be very cautious in this scenario, because we have to convey to the Saudi, UAE, Iranian brothers that closeness, the friendship, or bilateral relations or national interests converging between Pakistan and those respective countries will not and should not be at the cost of others. That means if UAE and Pakistan are close, does not mean that we are distancing ourselves from Saudi Arabia or Iran. I think that needs to be clear. And this will be a big challenge for Pakistan Foreign Office to have the balance between all these countries. And as you said rightly, that we are not inclined at the cost of one friend against the other. We are friend to all. We like to obviously mediate, like to play a positive role, because who will be the happiest country in case the escalation moves beyond control or it goes beyond any limitation? Obviously, the Israel. Obviously, they should be excited about it. That instead of these countries obviously trying to have build a good defense against Israel, which has been a continuous threat. Obviously, we start to, unfortunately, if we start to fight within ourselves and Pakistan takes any side hypothetically, which we are not taking. So I think we need to be very, very careful, consciously guard this element of perception also, that these three countries should take us as a friend, as a brother, and we can play a very positive role in this.
Today, we have seen that there was a statement issued by 8 Muslim countries regarding the Gaza humanitarian issue, that they have expressed their serious concerns about the blockade which is still going on by the Israelis. They are not letting the humanitarian assistance and aid to enter into Gaza and into Palestine. So, do you think that only condemnation, because the Israelis have promised that they will not go ahead with the war anymore, but on the very next day, when this agreement was signed at Sharm el Sheikh, the Israelis started, bombing the Gaza civilians once again. So, do you think that only the condemnations and such statements would be able to stop the aggression and the violence conducted by the Israeli forces?
Vaisab, allow me to link my answer with the previous discussion that we already had. Please keep in mind that, as I said, without asking, when you asked, you are not asked this question, I said the happiest country should be Israel. Because then, when they see, obviously, the Israeli government, the politicians, or the decision maker in Israel, they see that here are three countries or four countries which are engaged within themselves. Obviously, the world attention moves away from Gaza, from the suffering of the people. And beneficiary is which country? Obviously, the Israel. And when they think that we are disjointed, we are not united together for a resolve, we will be left only to condemnation and United Nations just calling or requesting Israel to open the passage. The biggest suffering will be for the people of Gaza, the Lebanon, the Red Sea, Yemen. All these, obviously, if we trigger our own new issues into this, the focus will divert away from Gaza now. And who's suffering? People of Gaza will suffer. So I think we should urge upon these countries to stay united. Obviously, it goes to the benefit of Israel. And I would say, I don't know whether they are the beneficiary direct or by design they've done that. They may have played a role in this in escalation of the situation because it benefits them. We all need to see that any instability in any country or in the neighborhood or a conflict, who's the beneficiary? That needs to be remembered throughout. And I think in all this escalation goes up, there is an element of distrust or discomfort within the Muslim countries. Obviously, the beneficial will be Israel, and the losers will be the Gaza people.
Finally, the Europeans after the World War II, they decided to just, stop fighting among themselves, and they focused on, uh, you know, human developments and economy and infrastructure and social structure and social security, all these things. But when it comes to the Middle East, we have seen that in last many decades, we have seen that there's instability, constant instability that was created by the Israelis or because of the Muslim countries, their own, interest, maybe the natural resources interest or other interest. Because of that, there is a disintegration and there is an animosity among the countries. Do you think that Muslim countries have to, revisit their approach towards their own countries and the neighboring countries as well?
Uh, Vaitsa, we need to remember that the international politics is unfortunately not very based on very humanitarian values and aspects, number one. We also need to remember that Israel has been obviously designing all this and keeping the fragmentation. Let me give you an example. When we talk about Gaza issue, you open today any channel, they are all talking about Gaza issue, Gaza issue. How many are talking about the Palestinian issue? Israelis have very successfully focused it as a local issue and an incident
Yeah.
where this is this. We are not talking about Palestine at all. Whereas if the Palestinian problem is resolved, if there is a state coming up, obviously the Gaza will be part of it. They have all focused on to Gaza, 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 and nothing beyond Gaza. I think we need to fight that impression also. Then when we talk about Gaza, it means the crisis of Palestinian is the main core or the reason for almost since 1948, these Palestinians who were in majority in these all state where the Israeli did not exist, Israel did not exist in 1947-48. These were in majorities, the Palestinians. Obviously, they were sidelined. Obviously, the Jews from all over were brought to this state, and then obviously Israel was created. And obviously, with the promise last 80 years, Palestinians have not been given their right. So I think we should, when we talk about Gaza, we should also talk about the Palestinian cause, the effect, or the creation of two-nation theory, two-state solution. Go back to 1993 or 95. What was PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization, headed by Yasser Arafat? It was an armed group which was fighting for the creation of an independent homeland called Palestine. 1993 to 95, they had an Oslo agreement in the presence of American president. The Israel and the PLO signed it. Yasser Arafat signed it. And that agreement 32 years back had said that this agreement will lead to two-state solution. What has happened in 32 years? Nothing has happened. Now, over a period of 32 years, instead of talking about two-state solution, we've come down to Gaza issue alone. That means the world celebrates when the Israelis are stopping the bombing of the Gaza. That means look at the threshold so low brought by the Israelis or the Western media that we feel excited by only the stopping of the bombing. And we're not talking, still talking about the solution of the Palestine. We are talking about it, and right after this agreement, the bombing stopped. You can pick it up. You will recall more than me that Netanyahu landed in Israel, and in his own language, Hebrew, he gave an interview in which said, "I did not agree to two-state solution in this agreement which we recently been signed." That means look at the how cruel the world is that we paid the price only of 70,000 people only to get the bombing stopped. That's so unfortunate. I think we should be talking about the bigger picture. We're talking about the Gaza is part of it, but I think we need to ask for a Palestinian solution of what to talk of. Now, is last word on this is the Israel has brought us the whole world watching, questioning, will the Russian trucks be allowed into or not? Imagine the discussion The point of debates have been squeezed to that level that will the trucks go in or will the trucks not go in? Will the media go in or will the media not go in? Will the rehabilitation take place by America or will it take place? We're not talking about Palestine at all. So it's so unfortunate. I think we continue to remain and remind the world that there is a Palestinian issue and Gaza happened to be part of it.
Thank you very much, Air Commodore Khalid Chishti, for your precious time and giving your worthy comments on a very important issues. Thank you very much.
Pleasure always having you.